I welcome you all for 3-day national workshop on career guidance and personality development, and I will be speaking on career opportunities in life sciences in India. I am Dr. Nitin Labhane. I had done my BSc, MSc, then I had qualified exams like SET, NET, GATE, GRE, TOEFL. Then I did my PhD and I did my PDF from Hungary. Now, what do you mean by life sciences? Since we are looking out for career opportunities in life sciences, we should know what we mean by life sciences. Life sciences or biological sciences comprises the branches of science that involves the scientific study of life and organisms such as microorganisms, plants and animals including human beings. Now this definition everyone can find on the internet. What does it mean? It means that this classification is organismal, which means that we are studying subjects like botany, which is study of plants, microbiology, which is study of microorganisms, zoology, which is study of animals. However, today in the day of specialization, we are studying life sciences from various perspectives, namely biochemistry, biotechnology, biophysics, molecular biology, genetic engineering, forensic sciences, bioinformatics, etc. Now, all these are now a separate discipline and well established subject working under the domain of life sciences. Why do you study life sciences? What is the requirement for studying life sciences? If you know that you love to work with living objects like plants, animals and microorganisms, it means that you are having the zeal to study life sciences. Some of you might be planning to give your civil services or give Indian Forest Services with botany or zoology as one of their subject. It means that you need to study life sciences. You want to become a teacher in a school or professor in a college, scientist in a leading research organization, but working within the domain of biological sciences, then for those people they should take life sciences as their subjects. Some of you might be interested in starting the NGO which would work in environment and forest. Some of you might be working for starting their own businesses, but in the domain of the biological sciences. Now, what do you require to study life sciences? First thing, you need to have a keen interest in the subject. Second thing, you need to have an aptitude to study that subject. We need to have an expectation. Everyone has an expectation from the subject that after doing graduation or post graduation, the subject will give me a job or provide me a career. Similarly, the subject is also having expectation from the aspirants. We need to be true on that expectation as well to make our own career. Apart from that, everybody needs to have the capability to study life sciences. The next question arises, when to start planning? What is the ideal time to start for planning career in life sciences? Immediately after 12th standard results, the applicant has the option to go for various streams, but these options are for those who are having biology at their 11th and 12th grade. How is it? After 11th and 12th standard, those who will clear the CET examination, they can directly go to medicine, that is working on the human beings. They will do their MBBS, MD, PhD and PDF. They can do any of them, or they can do everything. Some of you might be interested in going after the agricultural sciences, that is working on domesticated plants and animals. How their life will go on. They will start with their BSc or BTech. After that, they will do their MSc, MTech, PhD, and PDF. Pharmacy will enroll for B Farm. After they will do M Farm. After that, they can do their PhD and PDF. Some of you might be interested in going for veterinary sciences. You will do BVSc, MVSc. Some of them go for higher studies like PhD and PDF. Some of you might be interested in going for engineering. But which kind of an engineering? Engineering with BE or BTech in life sciences, biotechnology, bioscience and bioengineering, instrumentation, and various other subjects which comes under the purview of life sciences. So you will do the undergraduate degree, ME, MTech, then PhD, or you will do your postdoc. Many of the students, they will enroll themselves for BSc with biological or life science subjects like botany, zoology, microbiology, biotechnology, all such subjects. Now, however, their career will progress. Their career will progress by doing BSc, MSc, PhD, and PDF. You have seen my career path, and you have seen the career path in this slide, that all these streams, they are having the highest qualification as PhD and PDF. Now, not everyone will be going for all these degrees, and not everybody has the aptitude to take such a long route, but everybody will have a route whereby they can choose different fields at different point of time. Say for example, the first one, some of you might be planning for UPSC or civil service examination, or you might be interested in becoming an Indian Forest Services examination, where you want to take botany or zoology as one of your subject. Now the students who are keen in joining civil services, they will be happy to know that the civil service question papers, they have large number of questions related to life science background, and they can very easily solve it. The other two, the example which I shown here is that of Dr. Ravi Kiran Govekar, and second one is Dr. Sandeep Tamgadge. Now Dr. Ravi Kiran Govekar, he has done his BSc and MSc from Shivaji University, Kolhapur. After that he has cleared his civil services, and he cleared his IFS in the year 2001. He is now the Chief Conservator of Forest. The earlier posting was Assistant Inspector General, and he was looking after National Tiger Conservation Authority of India. Now Ravi Kiran Govekar had botany as his main subject, and because of which he could become the IFS officer. Now the second example is of Sandeep Tamgadge. He is the IPS officer, and he is one of the topmost IPS officer in India. Now you will be astonished to know that he has done his graduation degree with BSc with CBZ, and botany was one of his optional subject, right? So as I was telling you that there is not necessary that you should do your BSc, after that BSc you should do MSc, after the MSc you need to do PhD, then postdoc. Not everything is compulsory. Like here we see it that a person after graduation, he takes his chances for civil services, and he is now been the topmost IPS officer in India. Some of you wanted to become a teacher in a school or in a junior college. So what is the requirement? Here we are looking at a second aspect out of it. A student after doing his BSc in life sciences, he can do his D.Ed degree, and he is eligible to teach from first grade to 5th grade. A person with BSc with B.Ed, he can teach from 6th grade to 10th grade. If a person does MSc and after that he does his B.Ed, then he is eligible to teach for 11th and 12th standard. But keep in mind, all the aspirant has to pass the TET exam, that is the TET exam, that is the Teachers Eligibility Examination. Now here again we see it that those students who can't pursue their education beyond BSc, they do have the choice either to take up DEd course or they can take up the BEd course, and they can land up with a job in school education. Those who will do MSc and after that they can do their BEd, they can very well become teachers in the 11th and 12th standard. Now coming back to those students who want to become a professor in a college or a scientist in a leading research organization, how they can do it, how should be their career path, what are the avenues for them, and which path they should follow. What they will do, they will do their BSc, after that they will do their MSc, after that they have to qualify the NET and SET examination. Even some of the students, they will take up PhD, but they will also have to pass NET and SET examination, without which they cannot be appointed as assistant professor in college or a university. Some of the students, they want to become scientist in leading research institute. How will they do it? The path is the same. They will do their BSc, they will do their MSc, they will qualify the NET examination with JRF, and they will join the PhD programs. And during the PhD, they might be publishing certain research paper with good publications, and that will be helpful for them to become scientist in leading research institute. Now when we are talking of research, the first thing comes regarding good research institutes. Now there are large number of research institutes. I just jotted down certain examples for you. This is not the full and the final list. Like IIRI, BARC. Now since I am taking the name of BARC, those students who has done their MSc, they can give the exam for scientific officer just after clearing their MSc exams. And if they clear that exam of scientific officer, they are directly appointed as a scientific officer in BARC, and they can continue their PhD in BARC directly out there. There is TIFR, NIRI, CICR, NRCC, NBRI, CDRI, IICR, ICER, IIT, ISC. Now these are the all acclaimed institute. Now ICER you can join very well after your 12th standard only, and you will get a dual degree in ICER only. Now some of you might not able to get to the higher research institute. You are interested in doing your research in the some university which are known for potential for excellence, like JNU, Pune University, Bangalore University, Delhi University, BHU, etc. Now these are all good and quality universities. Some of you might be interested in joining university department, because the university might not be known for potential for excellence, but some of the departments are known for their quality research. So you might be interested in joining those departments. Some of you might be interested in joining colleges with good research facility as well as good resource persons altogether. So this is how you can know where to do your research. Many people, they want to work for NGOs. Now some of the NGOs which are known in the world, I will tell you. From India we are having BNHS, which was founded in 1883, and it is one of the largest non-governmental organization in India, and which works on conservation and biodiversity research. The other example is CSE, that is Center for Science and Environment. Now this is the institute which is based in New Delhi. Now it is credited for starting CNG in New Delhi, and that is how the pollution level in New Delhi has drastically reduced. Now apart from the national NGOs, there are some international NGOs also, like WWF, Greenpeace. These are the most known about it. Now recently you might have heard the name of IPCC. Now this is the NGO which works on climate change. Now all these NGOs, they require a good human resource. Now from where this human resource will come? Those students who has done good in their academics in life sciences, they are the most probable candidates to work in this NGOs. Not necessarily you should work for these NGOs only. You can start your own NGOs. I have various of my students who have started their own NGO and they are flourishing and doing quite a good out there. Some of you people might be thinking that why only work for the governmental organization? Not necessary. If you are having good accounts and if you have got a flair to work for the private sector altogether, now this is the slide for you. Now you will find that there are at least 10 to 12 different biotech companies or companies which are the leading companies in India. Now if you see the market size of it, it's increasing every year. If you want to work in these biotech companies, in these companies of life sciences, the sky is the limit. You can very well go and flourish out in this particular institute as well. Coming back to the Indian scenario. Now, Indian subcontinent is known for Ayurveda. Now these are the top 10 Ayurvedic companies in India. If you want to join any of this company, what is required? You need to have a sound background of biological sciences or life sciences. If you have that kind of an flair, that kind of a knowledge, you can very well join these institute. I will give the example of Patanjali. It is 2500 crore company and you can very well join this kind of an company altogether. Not necessary you should join these Ayurvedic companies if you are having a family tradition of herbal medicine and all. You can formulate your own medicine and you can start your own company also. Now some people are very hungry for knowledge. For knowledge, what they do is that they keep on learning. After BSc they will do their MSc. After doing their MSc, the thirst is not satisfied, they do their PhDs. Even after doing PhD, they want to do their postdoctoral research. Now, what are the different fellowships out there? Are there any avenues or opportunities to do higher education after PhD in India? The answer is yes. What you see out here? Postdoctoral fellowship for women. What is the fellowship? It is around 40,000 per month. There is DS Kothari fellowship. Now, there is also a postdoctoral fellowship for SC/ST candidates also, because these people also need to be brought in the mainstream so that they can contribute in building the nation. There is another fellowship, SCRP fellowship, then postdoctoral fellowship by DPT, then national postdoctoral fellowship. Then all these fellowships are government funded fellowship. Some of them are by UGC, some of them by DST, that is Department of Science and Technology, and some of them by DBT, that is Department of Biotechnology. Not necessary you should work only for governmental fellowships only. Now, earlier two slides which I shown you, where Ayurvedic companies and the biotech companies or life science companies which are shown there, they also have postdoctoral positions in their companies. They require a good amount of workforce to work for them. You can join that institute as well. So don't just only rely on the government fellowship. You can join the private organization as well to do your postdoctoral degrees also. Now this is the slide which tells you certain brief about the postdoctoral research. It tells us regarding the eligibility, the number of fellowship, what is the application procedure, now what is the website, nationality. It has taken from the Disha book. I will sum up. Here is the last slide, where a student who wants to make a career in life sciences, what he can do? He can do his BSc, MSc, he can do his PhD and become a track tenure professor. A student with a BSc, after that he can do the B.Ed. After B.Ed he can do the M.Ed, and he can become an educator, and he, in the field of education he can reach the dean and other stream altogether. In some other cases he can work as a scientific officer and become a director altogether. He can start his own business or work in some other business firm like private firm, and from there He can be appointed as a manager, then he can become the director, vice president, CEO, the sky is the limit. Or he can start his own NGO altogether. Now these are the various paths in which the student can find its own career. Finally, I like to thank the organizer for giving me the opportunity to speak to you all. Wishing you all the best for your bright future. Always keep in mind, everybody has strength and weaknesses. So capitalize on your strength and overcome your weaknesses. Wishing you all the best for your future career. Thank you very much.